what we are going to do today is get to know how to have a full-fledged project in React, how to structure our files, and how to implement APIs in React. And along with that, the other main important thing that we'll be focusing on is how to handle data in a React app using the Redux state management. I'll get to you what a state is, how do we manage, and what exactly Redux is. But before that, if we were to build the entire app from ground, it would have taken us quite some time. It's a really huge one, but it's a fun one. So I have created a repository where all the starter code is up and there so that you can completely focus on React and on its concepts. So any of you, if you would like to try this later, you can you can go go ahead and do it. I'll just paste the link over here. Yeah, I have sent the link on the chat. If you, yeah, so that is there. If anyone of you wants to code along side by side, that is also fine. But just for your reference, we are going to have this video on YouTube as well, so you can refer to it anytime later. It's a simple step that we have normally. Git clone in your using your terminal. You can just go ahead git clone this repository, or you can download the zip over here. And once you do, just open it in any of your code editor. I specifically use VS Code. Yeah, so that is it. That is it. I also have a list of all the steps that you need to perform before getting it up and running, which I'll obviously go through. Two important things that you need to do is before getting to code is go to the developer.spotify.com website and log in. Basically, you can use your normal login that you have for Spotify as well. This enables us to use the Spotify APIs as we need an authentication system. The user needs to authenticate before we get all sorts of data that they have. And no worries, I have set that up as well completely. I have sent the link here as well. Once you are done, most probably you won't be having any app over here. So it's a normal create an app, simple thing. Give all sorts of data that you want. Go ahead, like Spotify, Unwrapped, whatever description that you want. I understand. Agree and create. Okay, we need some field. Spotify profile, create. Cool. Once that is done, two of the most important things that we need to do is first of all this client ID and this client secret, which we need to add it on in our files. But make sure that you do not commit this to GitHub since this is going to be really important. And if it is exposed, other people might use it and probably misuse it. So that thing. The very first thing that you will do is whenever you have cloned the repository, open it in the root directory, and in the root directory, create a .env file. I have a sample.env file, which will be a good one for you just to replicate. Replace all of the things that you have with your own client ID and secret. If I'm not wrong, let me just copy this. Like inside your .env, I'll not open that .env because it has the client ID and client secret of my app. Obviously, I'll delete the one that is you have been seeing over here. But yeah, you get the idea. As of now, don't worry for the front-end URI, the redirect URI, the login URI. All these things will be used when you are deploying it to Heroku. If time permits today, we'll surely go ahead and tell you all the details regarding how to deploy this and what all you have to set up if you haven't done it before. But if it does not provide, then I have the list of steps for that as well over here. So feel free to deploy it. This is a completely dynamic app. Dynamic as in it has a server running also. So probably it won't work when you deploy it to either Firebase hosting or Netlify or any static hosting, GitHub deploy as well. So Heroku is the simplest one, and it has a good free tier for students. So do deploy it on Heroku itself. So once that is done, you are all set. You need to run commands mainly in the root directory. If you see, I'm in the root directory on my master branch, and go ahead run yarn install. This will install all the dependencies for your server. And the next command that we need to do is yarn install client, or the other way around, yarn client install. My bad. Yeah, this will go ahead and install all the dependencies that are required for the client side, that is the React app. We have two separate things going on. Okay, one thing, let me make it clear. If you have any doubt at any point in time, either put it on the chat, or you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the doubt itself. This might be looking a bit complicated, but yeah, asking doubts should surely help. And probably, if you have any, do ask, because others might have the same doubt and just won't ask. So go ahead with that. Coming to that, since this is a React workshop, you literally do not need to worry what is there inside this whole big file. This is the server code. This is it. It will look intimidating, but since this is a React one, don't look for this. This was necessary just to set up authentication for Spotify. So no need for you to worry about any of those things. If you are interested, feel free to go ahead. I have a list of comments and stuff explaining what exactly is being happening over here. So if you're interested, surely you can go ahead later, but no need to worry about that. The main thing that we'll be working with is in the client directory, and the client directory is created with the create React app. I'll just put the link for that as well. Let me get the link. Yeah. Very standard way to get a React app up and running. The create React app. Everything is as it is done with the normal thing. So I've deleted all the files that were there inside the source directory because we are setting it up completely from the scratch, and that should be it. The starting point is the index.js file, which is our typical what do I say React index.js file. Basically, what we are doing is we are rendering the entire app inside the root folder, right? So that should be it. Utils. Uh, okay, cool. Next, what we are seeing is I have a directory structure which I generally use for most of my projects because it's really simple and it's cool. The very first thing that we have is assets. Assets will contain the list of all the images and probably placeholder data. Placeholder data is in some data that is going to remain constant in your entire React app, which might change after some time, but you don't want to mess around with the code, which is why you keep it in some folder over here. Like just create a folder called placeholder, and suppose there's some data on my home page, so I'll just create a home.js file. Let me, did I create? Okay, my bad. Need to try home.js and export a object from here, like some what do I say, details is equal to whatever you want. So you could go ahead and do that as well, which is why the access folder is important. The other important thing is whenever the app is being deployed or being used, it is hosted. There's this thing called Webpack which brings all the files together. So it also includes the images that we have over here, which is why it reduces the time for the image to load on the user side. So it is better to have the images inside assets than public. That is one thing. The next very important thing, as you all know, that React is completely using the component structure. You break down all the components that you think uh, can stand on their own in a particular website and have it over there. So we have the components folder. Inside that, I generally tend to create subfolders depending on what sort of what do I say categorization we have on the website itself. So if you have seen the video or the posters, we have an artist menu where we get the details of all the artists. We have one where there is tracks that is there. And these two are the ones that I generally have for almost all the projects, because which web app does not have marginals? Marginals as in the sidebar or the footer or any of those things. No need to worry. We have everything up and ready with along with styles, so that you don't waste more time on CSS. But again, if you want to build it from scratch, you can use just the server itself, delete the client folder completely. Shared is just a folder where you put in all the components that are being what do I say used by many other components or screen, which is common to quite a few. So you can add it over here as well. I've created a template one, which is a small thing which will explain what it exactly is. So that is there. Okay, screens. Screens. Okay, so basically we are using React Router DOM for our navigation. The navigation is completely handled on the client side and not on the server side. On a typical app, the routing is handled on the client side, but we have this single page applications such as like React, Angular, or Vue. Everything is handled on the client side. So depending on the screens that we are going to have, we'll create the respective screens over here. As of now, we have just the login and the home screen, which is why I have those two. And the second important thing is app. Okay, so this is the page where we are handling all of our what do I say routing stuff. This is our router over here. So okay, this is our router over here. Let me just start the client over here so that you get a rough idea. Um, okay, hmm, cool. Okay. So I'll just bring it over here. Yeah, as of now, this is the state of our application which we have. Let me just condense it down. Very basic stuff with all sorts of routing that will have a GitHub thing if you want to add your GitHub repository, and the normal logo is there. Currently, we aren't logged in, which is why we are getting this logins page. And how that is being done is, if you check over here. Okay, so inside our router, to let the Spotify API know that you are logged in, what we basically do is there's a route on our server called as slash login. So we make a request to that to get the access token from the server. Basically, an access token is a randomly generated string. There's obviously some logic to that as well, which Spotify provides you on the time of login. And that access token you are going to send to the Spotify API every time you make a request to get any sort of data. So that is going to be a key thing which will let the Spotify API know that, okay, we have logged in this person and he is making an authenticated request over there. So if you see, I'll explain that as well. We are importing the token. I have a file called as API, which is really used, but yeah, we are getting a token, and what this does is basically it's making a request to that specific login route, getting the token, and we are using the use effect hook to set that token as soon as the app is loaded. Okay, so React provides these two, what should I say, hooks, which are one of the most important hooks if you're using a functional programming language. And in that case, use state. So basically, state is a concept in React in which you tend to store the state of the application, in which state it currently is, or the data that we need to retain for that particular screen or something. So I have created a state called as token slash set token. Okay, you might also ask that why not just create a variable if you want to store some data. So behind the hood, what React does is a state is what was a glorified variable. Whenever we change the state or the token, like in some value, if we have defined a token, and in later point in time we change the value of token, at that time React realizes that the value has been changed and it refreshes the complete app, which is why it is not similar to a normal variable, and state is a something which is very core to the React thing. So whenever you change the state, React is refreshed again. So this is the basic gist. Coming to the use effect hook, if you have used the what do I say class-based components, you might be knowing this as the component did mount or component did update or those things. Even if you have not done those things, it's cool. What use effect is basically it's a function that is provided by React, which you can use to run some sort of things when the app is loaded. So what exactly this does is use effect is basically takes two options. One is a function which will be run, and the next one is an array, which I'll explain what it is, but it's an important thing. So what this code part over here does is whenever our app is loaded, whenever this app component is presented on the screen, after this JSX is rendered, it will run this function just for once. That's it. Only when the app is loaded. So the part where it does like loading just for once is done using this brackets. It's basically a dependency bracket, and what it does is uh, you can pass it different variables or functions which React will monitor, and depending on that, it will again call this function. So an example would be helpful. If I pass token as an uh, into that array, so what the function will do is the first time app is loaded, we have the JSX rendered completely. The next part is use effect will be called. It will run this first function one time, and it will wait to see if there are some changes in token. As soon as we change the tokens, the app is refreshed again, and since we have passed it as an dependency to this function will be called again. So that is what use effect is done. One more thing, if you have another use effect over here, and there is no dependency token for this, like you have some other dependencies over here. Let me just have it over here. There are no dependency token over here. So now consider that the app is rendered again, and at this point in time, token has been changed again. So at this point in time, only this use effect will be called and not this one, because this is the one that depends on token. So that is why that. If you do not pass any of the dependencies, it will be run only for the first time when the app is completely loaded. That's it. So coming to our token thing, I am getting the token from if you see, okay, so I have the token over here in the APIs one. Let me just scroll down to that. Yeah, okay, see, token basically it's a function, get access token, which I'm storing inside the token. So whenever I import it, this function is being called, and we are making a request to actually, okay, see, so we are making a request to our what specific route on the server, and that is fetching us our token, which we are setting it as our state inside this. And depending on that, what we are doing is rendering our route. So whenever the app loads, if there is a token, then it will show us our it will show us our normal app. If there is no token, which means that you're not logged in, and it will show a login route. So currently I'm not logged in, which is why it is showing me the login route, because we do not have any other routes yet. This is a normal apna ternary wala operation. If this token exists, then show this JSX. If it does not, then show this one. As simple as that. Any doubts still here? Like I feel that I'm going on talking quite a lot. Hello, hello, hello. Uh, I guess there are no doubts. Okay, cool then. Cool, cool. Oh, yeah. So this is it. I have the code for fetching the token and all of those things, but I feel that it will be quite a lot for you to handle in once. So no need for that. I have the functions to get the details as well all up over here. You can just use the functions as it is. Uh, uh, yeah. So, okay, let me just show you. I am logging in and it is showing me. The reason why it just showed me like this is because I have already logged in on the actual Spotify website. But if you probably, let's just go to in an incognito mode. Yeah, now if you go to login, it will redirect you to the Spotify OAuth, and from here you can log in and it will redirect you back to your screen. So this is our home screen, a very basic one. There's nothing. I've just created the component so that you do not have to do it. And CSS, who likes CSS much? So that is why this is there. Coming to that. Now you see we have a token over here. We have stored it in a local storage as well. Let me just go. Yeah, so we have our tokens up over here, which is why the home screen is being shown and not the login. So this part is being rendered. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, if this is all clear. Okay, I also found a diagram. Sorry, I have a diagram which is over here. If any of you would like, mm, yeah. So this is how the authentication thing works. If any one of you is interested, you can feel free to check what exactly is going over here and relate it with the code also. Uh, if I have to explain it in a simple thing is we just ask during the login when we successfully log in, Spotify API provides us a token. That token we store it locally so that we can use it whenever we have a API request to the Spotify API. That's it. That's a glorified, very toned down version of that. Okay. Coming on to this, we have a profile thing where I was thinking that we could show the details of the user who has logged in. So, what for that I have a function called as a get user function, which makes again call, and the headers is the type of thing, the token that is being used. So, okay. Let's import that get user from the API, and instead of getting that, we'll use get user. A very what do I say? JavaScript thing, async and await. Basically, we are making an API call, so it's an asynchronous call, which is why we need to use either async await or promises. But promises code-wise does not look much cleaner, which is why I use the async await function. So what it does is I am creating a function inside this function called as get data, and this is an using function in which we are awaiting for the user and we are destructuring data from the function. If we have used Axios before, Axios is basically a library used to make used to make calls to external APIs or any sort of server. So that is what we are using, and all the data that comes from the API is stored under the data property of that object, so which is why we are destructuring it here. We could also do something around this line, response and response dot data. It is one and the same thing. So whenever I reload this thing, the use effect runs, and if you see, we get the list of the details of all the person who has just logged in. So we have some country data, we have the display name, email, we have the followers and following data as well, and images if the user has any. So what we could do is have an image profile over here and show the image user image if he has any. If he does not have one, we could have our own image something. Let me just the profile image. Yeah, we could have something of this sort as a default one. Let me save this. Good. So we'll use that as well, and we are on the home screen. So the route, the very basic route, the route that will be shown when the user is logged in is the home route. So let's go ahead and do that over here. I have all of this setup, which we do not need. This is mm, we'll use all of these components later, but for now it's okay, cool. Let me reload. There's nothing. Mhm. Okay, it's clean. So we'll have all the code that we'll be writing will be inside this template thing a component that I've created. What it does is basically handles the entire style. Like we have a responsive mode as well, right? Like if we go down to a mobile screen, it will set the code in such a way that all that we render will be inside this, and when we are not in a mobile view, it will render inside this. So a very basic thing which you do not need to worry, but you can surely go ahead and check. A normal div that we have. Okay, we do I need to explain? Cool. So what we'll be doing is we'll have a simple profile image over here, and given the details that we have over here, such as email and any followers if they have any, and HR, the link for the user if he wants to go to Spotify and start playing music from there. So that is for that. Yeah, this should be enough for now. We could display other sort of details, but we'll have to make other calls for them as well. So should we directly go with this, or should I explain Redux as well and then we start? Uh, hello. Maybe it's slow, right? Yes, I try to go, so I'm really sorry for that. There's quite a few things that needs to be told, so. Mm, 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 okay. 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 What we'll do is instead of having each and everything populated, we'll just try to populate tracks and artists for now. Otherwise, it will be really long, and the profile one, which will give the basic details. So, very simple thing. Let's just go with. mm, mm, Logout API. We'll get. Okay, so what we were doing inside the app was I was getting the data right here. Instead, what we can do is we'll get the data required inside our home component so that we have access to that and we can render the content depending on that over here. So a normal will use a state use effect because again the same structure over here will be we'll create a state called as const user. Cool, and we'll have a use effect call in which we'll get all our data and store it in a state. Since this data we need it only for the first time when it's rendered, we'll do not pass any dependency so that it is just run for the first time. Otherwise, we'll just keep on making calls, which is not as effective or optimized. So we'll create a function called as const get data. Okay, my bad. This one will be an asynchronous function since we are making a call to an external API. Get data. Okay. Hmm. Again, const is equal to await get user. So we are again destructuring the data from the response that we have. And as of now, let's just console.log the data. Cool. We have defined the function B, but we haven't called it, which is why it is showing and warning over here, and which is why we'll call the function. And let me just uh, remove this, or let's just remove it. We don't need it over here. So a quick reload just to check. Yeah, we are getting our data. So once we have access to this data, what we'll do is we'll set it in our state. So we'll use a set So now once we have access to this data, what we'll do is we'll set it in our state. So we'll use a set user call and put it inside the cool. Uh, just to showcase it, what we can do is we can render it up over here as user dot name. Let's just have, do we have a name? Sorry, it's display name. So to white. Okay, cool. So let's try again. Let's see if it renders something. Okay. So what I was saying is, instead of let me just have that code over here. Okay, so instead of checking if we have that particular property at each and every place, what we can do is we'll just remove the default state. We'll let it remain as user, and whenever it is populated, we'll have our entire JSX being rendered at that time. So what we'll be doing is we'll get all this code. If user is present, then we'll have this. If not, then we'll have something like, okay, we'll have this loading over here. Cool. And okay, so I guess this should work, not throw any errors. Let me just remove this B for profile, and the source will be if there is user dot. I believe it is. Let me just check what exactly. Yeah, images. So if we have user dot images dot length greater than 0, then we'll have that the first image that will come up. If there is not that, then we'll show our default profile ka image. So this is the basic logic behind this. And let me remove this stuff. Okay, I hope this is all set. Yeah, so this is working. You might see that there is no difference whatsoever, but that is because we do not have our images. I do not have any particular image associated with my Spotify profile, so that is over there. And if we see, instead of having it loading over here as well, we have just one loading, which is at the top, and once we have populated the data, everything is up. Okay, a bit of styling, a bit of styling. For now, I'll just use inline styles. I'll tell you how we are using uh, CSS styling inside JSX. So it will have complete 100% width. The display will be flex, which will help us to align it in the middle. Justify content, saying instructing that it should be centered uh, with like horizontally it should center, and align items is vertically center. Apart from that, we'll have stylings for our image as well, which would be with probably some 300 pixels. Height will be 300 pixels, and we'll have the border radius, a round image of 100%. Cool. Let's just check. Mhm. Seems cool, I suppose. Seems cool. We'll just add some margin and padding as well so that there's clearance. Margin will be around roughly 50 pixels. Cool. Looks neat, I suppose. Looks neat. Okay. We'll also center the details that we have over here, either center or we'll put them on the left side. So for that, we will have all our details wrapped inside a div. Let me just get what else we have over here that can be displayed. For now, I could say that we can display the email as well. We have followers, which is to followers following. So let me go ahead and put user dot email. That should be it. And I was thinking, let's make it a two-column thing. So another div and all of this over here, and a div for all the followings and followers that we have. So followers will be, let me say what is it, followers dot total. Mhm. So if we have a followers thing, then show followers user dot followers, my bad, user dot followers dot total. If we do not have anything, then just show us a normal zero. And again, the same for following. Okay, the error is because we need to reference it under user dot followers dot following. Simple thing, I suppose we'll change it to following and following. Let us see if it's working out in some kind of error. Okay, it is not visible. Why so? Oh, okay, okay. It is actually there. It is totally black, which is why we are not able to see it, but we'll change the stylings. Okay, okay, cool. Let's just convert this to a two column thing. So what we could do is style again. We'll have a display of flex, align items. Let's just put for now space around and justify content space around as well. Okay, let's align items to center now. Yeah. Okay, command shift. Okay, this should be it for now. This should be it for now. We can also have a specific width for each of the divs, by which this will be exactly in the half, but you all can do that. For now, let us just focus. I'll tell you, instead of writing inline cells, how we are going to have our CSS inside JSX. So along with this reacting, we are also using Material UI. It's a library provided by Google. It's React specific, if I'm not wrong, with which you can have all of your components. They have pre-built components. It is very similar to Bootstrap, but specifically for React. So if you see, we have quite a lot of things over here: button groups, radio selects, whatever kind of thing we have. So that is all. So we are using that. What Material UI also provides is it provides us a function called as make styles from its core. Let me just import it, Material UI core, and with that, what you can do is you can create a hook. You can create your own custom hook. Generally, people prefer to name it as use styles, and it's a normal thing. Make styles, to which we pass an function which returns us an object, or what you can do is also pass in an object to make styles. So what you'll be doing is you'll write all of your stylings inside over here, which will be similar to our normal the way we use classes and stuff. So suppose I have something an property called as root. So I'll put all of the root what was the stylings over here. Let's just remove it and over here. So now for us to get the stylings inside there, what we have to do is we have to create a variable called as either classes, or you can name whatever you want and call this use styles function. So now instead of writing styles over here, what we can do is class name is equal to classes dot let's just go with root, because that is what we are having over here, right? Use style, what is happening? Okay, okay, my bad. Hmm, cool. If I'm not wrong, everything should be as it is. Cool. So this will help us to not write stylings inside, and along with the very different things that Material UI provides, we can use all of those things. If you go and check, there are quite a few things over here. There's drawer, you can have all your layout up and over here. So this is a good library if you do not want to write all the stylings from the beginning or completely on your own. So let us create a similar thing for image as well. That should be it. And, okay. I suppose everything is fine for now. Okay. So this is generally how you will be doing stuff. Now, we do not have any other routes, which is why even if I click on any of these other tabs, we are still getting the same exact page. And for that, we'll create some routes. Let's just let me create a screen. Inside screens, we have a new file called as here. Let's name it as tracks.js. Are very let me get everything from here so that we do not have to code everything up. Let's remove this. Let's remove this as well. We don't need any of those things over here. And okay, for now we need the track tile because this is what we are going to show. And I don't think we need any of those things. Cool. So I'll just quickly rename this as tracks. And okay, so we are back again in our app.js where we will get the component imported, uh, tracks from components slash not marginals, but not even components, my bad, tracks. And we'll create a separate route over here called as slash tracks. One quick thing over here, there's a feature in provided by React Router now. So if you do not pass an exact prop to this route component, what it will do is it will check the other routes as well. And since slash is present in this route as well, it will show the home component and tracks as well, which is why we need to pass an exact prop to all the routes, which tells React Router DOM that if the path is exactly like this, then only render the home component. If it exactly right tracks, then render our tracks component. So if I'm not wrong, let me just refresh everything and Argand tracks. Yeah, it's working, but we have the same code again in tracks, so which is why it is showing the same thing. Let me replace this with a normal generic. So yeah, tracks is over here, but black. So let us just keep it like that. Okay. So instead of getting the user, now we'll get fetch all our tracks, top tracks. Okay, we have a list of top tracks long. That is the let's just remove the default profile image, which we do not need for sure. Okay. Okay, so the plan for the tracks thing is we'll have two columns, one over here, the other over here, and we'll populate them with all the top tracks that the user has listened to. So we'll okay, instead of get user, we'll get track. Like come and see. Let's cancel out the data for now. And yeah, this should be it. Let's just check what sort of data we are getting. Okay, so it's an array. We are getting an array of items over here with all the list of songs that the person has heard of. There's album, we have artist, and all sorts of detail. If you see, okay, where is the track style? Yeah, I have created this tracks component. Let me import it. Cool. Hmm. Okay, so I have created the tracks. Um, app.js. Let me check. Login, redirect to. Let's remove the redirect. We don't want that. Tracks and home. Okay, for some reason the home component. Yeah, it is showing right now. So if you see, I have created the component over here just as we want, like to show this. So this is what we'll use. And if you see, I have we need to pass some props down so that the component will render properly, which is an image alternative, the track name, the album name, and the artist name. So from here, what we can do is, again, a similar sort of thing that we'll use is, instead of user, we'll create tracks, we'll create set tracks function again, and we'll get the data. Once we have the data, if you see, all the tracks that are there present for that user is under the items property, which we'll save instead of saving the entire data that we are getting. So what we can do is set tracks, and it will be data dot items. So over here, if items is present, we'll render the list of items. For now, I'll just write it over there. If it's not there, we'll show something as loading. Okay, maybe we need to return some sort of JSX. Okay, okay. Let me just completely refactor this. Give us. Is it working fine? Okay, there are no errors. I am storing it. Okay, so what we can do is we have imported the required stuff. We'll have a check over here, the one that we had initially. Uh, if we have tracks, then we'll render the list of all the tracks. If we do not have, then what we'll render is something either loading or something. So h1. And for tracks, should I just start? Okay. Okay. So what I've done is I'll create a function called as render tracks, which will be run instead of having all the logic just inside here. We are separating out into a different function, and it will return is a return tracks dot map. Since tracks is an array, We are mapping through it. We get access to each individual track, and from there we'll render our track type. We'll pass all the necessary props that are required. And if you see, we have an image art. Let me copy that for reference. Okay. If I'm not wrong, items inside that we have. Let where exactly is the image of that track? Available markets. No, we don't need that. Popularity track number type. href. This would, I guess, open the. No, my bad. Album external links. Okay, yeah. Inside album, we have images which are from where we are getting the URL and stuff. So we'll put them over here. So track would be track dot, if I'm not wrong, albums. Sorry, it is just album. My bad. Album under which we have images and it's an array images, and we'll use the first one, which is whichever is over there. For now, let's just create the track as image alternate as it is. We'll edit it later, but we have the name over here, name field. So track album track dot name. If I'm not wrong, yes. What else do we need? We need the album name as well. So inside album, we have. Do we have the or it is the album name? My bad. Okay. Track dot name. The album name is present under track dot album dot name. So that is over there. And artist name. If I let's just check. Okay, artists. We have a list of artists. Okay, let's just worry about that later. I hope this is working. Okay, cool. If you see, we have all our stuff rendered over here, but there is some issue with the image, which I'm not sure. And if you see, we are getting a warning called as the every child in a map should have a key. So what React requires is it's an internal performance optimization thing. So whenever you map through or whenever you use a loop through for rendering data, you always need to provide some sort of key so that internally React can use it for performance optimization things. So let us just pass. Along with track, we also get access to index. This is normal JavaScript, nothing else. Index. So I hope that should go now. And let us check why we are not getting the mm, images. Items, inside item. Where do we exactly have images? If anyone can spot, please tell me. It should work actually. Oh, my bad. Okay, so images is an array under which we have URL. Okay. So what we can do is dot URL if I'm not wrong. Cool. We have everything up and rendered over here. So again, it is a very basic thing. What we are doing is we are creating a state inside that particular screen. We are using the use effect call to fetch that data. The reason being why we are using use effect and not having it just outside is if we have seen quite a few apps, we generally show a loading screen before having all our data. So what in the scenario that we have this get data function outside, what it will do is it will wait for the data to come. Since it is an asynchronous process, it will wait for the entire data to come, and then after only it will load all our JSX and all the styling stuff. But we don't want that because it is not a good user experience. So what we do is we render the UI so that it tells the user that okay, it is going on, the process is loading, and it's a better user experience. And once the entire UI is loaded, we still do not have the data. That is the perfect time to call to get some data from an API or stuff, which is why you are using it inside and use UI. And in the period that we do not have the data, we can show some loading or something. So that is the main reason why we are using it inside a use effect call. Just to clean it up, we'll just clean it up into two, what do I say, two divs or two separate columns. Um, uh, okay. We can do is what we can do is command X. I'll create a div which will style. For now, we'll just give it as style. Do we have? Sorry, it should be class name, not style. So it's dot root. Hmm. And root we have it up all up, which is more or less the same thing that we require. We do not require it to be center, and cross direction should be column. Let's start margin. We'll have some margin. It could be 50 pixels. Cool. For now, this looks good. We can shift it again into two different things. What do I say? Columns, but it is more of CSS. So if you are interested, you can go ahead and do that. But okay. Hmm. Cool. This is all set and up. We can do a similar sort of thing for artists as well, but the process is very clear. There is one issue with the entire thing is that we are making request every time we are going to the profile page or the tracks page, which is ideally not good as a UX UXP case also. And the main thing is that we are making quite a few requests. So as a cost point of view for what do I say, a startup or anything, that is also not good. So to solve this, what we can do is we can have a Redux state, which is a global state. We can store all our data, and that will be done just once. Like when the app loads, instead of calling all of these functions over here, what we can do is we can call it inside the app only, because no matter what the screen is, the app component is always on the screen and is never reloaded. So which means that the use effect call, whenever we put it inside whenever you use it inside the app, that will be called just once when the app is loaded. So we'll get the data only once and we'll store it inside the Redux state, the global state. So we can go ahead with that, or is there anything else that you all want to ask? Or this is it, like you can go ahead and have artist recent playlist. It's a similar thing. I have all the APIs required over here, and yeah, that is it for now. Any questions, anything else, people? Hello, I hope I was audible all this long because I've talked quite a lot.
Yeah, you were.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the basic gist of it, of how to manage API calls and stuff using React.
Won't won't the browser automatically cache the request and prevent subsequent multiple requests?
No, that does not work like that because very first thing, we haven't set up any caching mechanism as of now. If I'm not wrong, Chrome does cache the data, but we need to tell Chrome that okay, you can start caching and stuff. So that is over there. And as of now, how it is functioning is whenever we mount the component, we are calling that function again and again. So even if we cache it, we are still making the call, which again does not make much sense, right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and for now, it is just 50 tracks over here. I'm not completely sure that storing this data in the cache would be viable or not, but we can save. Consider we have roughly 500 tracks over here. So storing all of that inside cache might not be a good idea, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, any other questions? Anyone? Well, I guess this was the basic gist of what the workshop was about, making calls and stuff. I have quite a few things up over here, so if you want to, what do I say, use this app, feel free to use it. If you want to deploy it to Heroku, I have all the details up here as well. Anyone, anything else, any doubts? Okay, then this is it, I guess. If you have any doubts, anything, any questions, anything else, we are completely active on Instagram. We have our own Slack workspace, so feel free to text us or message us over there. And this will be on YouTube as well. So if you have any doubts, you can comment it there as well. So